on the morning of December 7th, 1941. The Antares was pulling a barge behind it. The signalman saw something very strange.
It's following in the wake, and it looks awful like the shape of a submarine conning tower, only smaller.
The Antares sent a message that this was some kind of an enemy incursion.
The USS Ward fired upon the mini-sub when they saw it.
Gun number 1 barks, gun number 3 barks, and a shell hits it right between the sail and the hull, and the submarine dives.
The crew of the USS Ward didn't know it yet, but they have just fired the first American shots of the Second World War.
What the Americans also don't know yet is what's going to follow behind. A surprise attack from a hidden enemy that will cost nearly 2,400 lives and change history.
It's one of those crucial days in history, like the attack on the Twin Towers on September the 11th. You know the world won't be the same after as it had been before.
Now, using rare archive and eyewitness accounts, this is the attack on Pearl Harbor as it unfolded, minute by minute. An enormous naval armada is gathering 125 miles northeast of Japan's main islands, in a remote location at Hitakapu Bay. The mission is so secret that only a handful of the thousands of Japanese men assembling here know their destination.
On board the Japanese ships, there's just wild speculation as to where they might be headed. This could be another training exercise.
Many of the men thought maybe it's an attack on the Americans in the Aleutians because we're heading north, but they really had no idea where they were going.
On board one of the 6 aircraft carriers is 23-year-old torpedo bomber Masamitsu Yoshioka. Now 103, he is one of the last remaining Japanese survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack.
どこに向かって走って何のために走っていくかということでちゃんと教えてもらって知ってるのに、その時に限ってどこに向かって走ってるのか。
The fleet that's assembling aims to carry out one of the most complex and ambitious operations in the history of naval warfare. They plan to sail a fleet of aircraft carriers 3,500 miles across an ocean and attack the home of the US Pacific Fleet on the Hawaiian island of Oahu.
Not only were they planning to attack the naval harbor and to destroy the US Pacific Fleet, they were also going to attack all the airfields on Oahu Island as well. It was very ambitious, but also very daring.
艦長が9時夢にありました。暴虐不遜なる米国に対し12月8日を期して戦争するっていうことをまず私の体の血液が頭から全部デッキに吸い込まれたような感じになりました。あ、これはいよいよ行かなくちゃならない大戦争になる、帰ってこれないなと思ってすぐそういうことを思いました。
The attack on Pearl Harbor is to be the decisive blow in Japan's strategy of imperial expansion. They have already invaded large parts of northeastern China and need oil to continue their expansion.
Japan is an island nation, and many of their main product and resources, especially oil, had to be imported. And the United States was one of the main people to provide that.
In August 1941, America cuts off Japan's oil supply after it invades French Indochina.
Diplomatic negotiations between Washington and Tokyo, in theory, still carries on. The military junta that was leading Japan concluded that they were not going to gain access to the reserves it needed by negotiations. The only way was by violence.
To get oil, Japan plans to invade the oil-rich Dutch East Indies. But there's a snag.
They knew the United States would be the power that would get in their way, especially because the United States occupied the Philippines.
So it was already set. They were going to take the Philippines, and in order to be able to take the Philippines, they had to first wipe the American Pacific Fleet off the map.